All right, we'll continue our media availability here at Dover International Speedway with Denny Hamlin, driver of the number 11 FedEx Freight Toyota. Denny, talk about coming into Dover this weekend and your thoughts thus far about being back this season.
Good. Obviously we ran a lot better here in the fall last year, so it kind of gives us a little bit of encouragement. We got two, obviously very good teammates that this is probably one of their best racetracks, so be leaning on them quite a bit through practice and today and tomorrow, and hopefully it will improve our performance here from where we've been here in the past.
We'll open it up for questions for Denny. Please raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. We'll start with Mike, then go back to Holly.
Mike Hembry, Speed.com. At tracks in the past where you've had problems and then you've turned it around, was there kind of a light bulb moment for you? And do you think that can happen here, or is it just a matter of you and the car kind of adjusting together?
Well, I think I spent a lot of time studying last year in the last, really the week or two leading up to the Dover Chase race, and obviously our performance was a ton better by getting the pole and really running top three all day long. So hopefully that was a turning point. We saw today in practice that we had some speed, so it's we possibly could have turned the corner here. We'll see after the results on Sunday, but I think that we're narrowing our bad tracks to a very few here in the last couple of years.
Okay, we'll go Holly, Claire, and Brian.
Denny, I'm short. You wouldn't be able to see me anyway, probably.
Okay.
But you've been hearing this a lot, but your performance since coming back from the injury is just, you're one of the hottest drivers out there. Could you just talk about that? There hasn't been any, working your way into it. You've just come out, you've been fast, you've had great performances and getting it done.
Well, I think a lot of it is, I knew that I was going to have to do what I needed to do to be better when I got back, and obviously when you have some time off, it's you can either rest and relax, or you can go to work and figure out what you can do to be a better race car driver. And I think I'm better now than I was beforehand. So I think that's helped our performance. I think that our qualifying this year has been key to our results on race day. So I think that there's been a lot of things that's helped us perform the way we had the last couple weeks, but it's almost too small of a sample size to draw a conclusion that we're that strong. I think we get past here and a few more weeks and we have all top fives, then I'd say that things are looking good for us.
Okay, we'll go to Claire, Brian, and then Bob.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You have mentioned the last couple of weeks studying. I've been studying this, I've been studying that. Is that something that you didn't do before, that when you were off you studied? Did you learn a lot? And was that you were not a studier before of the sport the way that you are when you're off, and now will you do that more now that you're back?
Well, I think that you've got to identify your weaknesses. I mean, you're not going to just magically get better at a place unless your crew chief magically hits a setup and you're great. But I think that the only way a crew chief is going to do that is if you give them the right information. And I don't know that I've given the right information throughout my career. So I've worked on that information because I've now had another driver I could listen to, talk to my crew chief, and then saw what strides or struggles that they had during the race. And so I kind of would figure that out. So I think that the competition is so good now that you have to do everything you can to get an edge on anyone. So I've just tried to go that extra mile.
So is it the driver, Matt, or is it the studying? Is it the driver or the studying?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's tough to say. I mean, I think that when you're motivated, like we are right now, and knowing what we have to do to make the chase, I think that helps. Like I said, the qualifying, the studying, last week before qualifying, I mean, all those things help. And, whether it's 100th of a second here and there, you add it all up and you've got something at the end that you can win with. So I think that that's what we've done so far.
Okay, we'll take our next question from Brian.
Brian Nelson, Motor Racing Network. Denny, regarding Pocono next week, talk a little bit about the difficulty of that track with its three different corners and how you have to attack it.
It's one of the most challenging. It was really the hardest racetrack on our schedule before they paved it because of how bumpy it was and the multi-groove there, and every corner was different. Now it's just become one of those new asphalt hard tire racetracks where track position is total key, and you got to have, more importantly there, you have to have the fastest car. Really, once you get out front there, you can really do some work. But it's been tougher to pass ever since they've repaved, and really you just try to do your best to qualify as well there as you can, because that your task will be pretty tough if you qualify bad there to get a good finish on Sunday.
Okay, we'll take a question from Bob, then come back up front.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News. In the past, when you've come here in the chase, it's almost sounded like you're just trying to maybe play defense, not lose a lot of points. Now, considering where you are and trying to make the chase, I mean, do you view this the same way, or do you feel like you have to be extremely aggressive and still, that you're kind of have to make big strides to get in the chase?
Well, I think our only play is to be aggressive. I think that to come here and try to get a good quote unquote points day is irrelevant, because if we don't win, we're really not accomplishing much. I mean, obviously we still got to get inside the top 20, but I think we can do that over the course of next 13, 14 weeks, whatever it is. We're going to need to win races, and so we're going to do everything we can to try to get that. I'll be as aggressive as I can. So I'm treating this more of an offensive race than a defensive for sure.
Okay, I think we had one right here and right there first. Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Hi, Denny. Rick Bonnell, the Charlotte Observer. Can you talk a little about what happened when the camera rope fell last Sunday? How long did it take before it was communicated to you what happened, and what do you think about the way NASCAR responded?
I think it was about a lap. For me, it was when they threw the caution that I knew. I didn't feel anything hit my car until I got out and saw where it had hit my car. But I think they did the only thing they could do. Obviously, when they have an object part of the track that affects the race, it's a new precedence letting guys fix their cars and taking a break to do that. But I didn't think much of it. Realistically, because I didn't know any of the facts about it or what had happened really until I watched the race back again. So for us, it just hit the roof flap on our car and kind of bent it up in a bad position. So we fixed that, and it looked like everyone who had damage from it, recovered well enough after it that it really didn't affect them. So I think that NASCAR did a good job. It's just now it's set a new precedence, though. If you have a track issue that causes damage, that what are they going to do next time?
Okay, we'll go ahead and take a question there and then go back to Jeff.
Hey, Denny, Sean Nissen with the Salisbury Daily Times. This is kind of going off of Bob's question, but being so far behind, even with 13 races left, does it make it more urgent that you make a big move, take more chances, and does that put more pressure on you and the rest of the team to be, try to be more perfect?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're treating it, as if it is chase scenarios right now. I'm driving like it, or even more aggressive than I would be if I was in the chase. So I mean, we're going to have to capitalize on our money tracks. I mean, we're going to need to win at those racetracks and sneak a few in here and there when we don't expect it. So, we're doing everything we can. If we come up short, we come up short, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do about it. But right now, I feel pretty good about where Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole is. We're competitive. I'm a little bit off on speed from my teammates, which I've got to go to work on. But other than that, I feel good about where we're at, and we're just doing everything we can at this point.
Okay, we'll take one in the back from Jeff.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. Denny, I know it's still pretty early, but does Kyle's troubles, his little mini slump, concern you at all, given that you obviously need him in the top 10 or, preferably to have a chance at what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really. I think that those guys are fast enough week in, week out to be in the top 10. Obviously, they're going to do everything they can. They don't want to use a wild card by any means. They want to use those wins. But, right now, things are going okay for us because we're those guys from 10th to 20th. Knock on wood, haven't won races yet, but they will, especially at a couple tracks I'm thinking about coming up. So we've got to do our job, and really we're not going to prevent anyone from winning. There's nothing we can do about it. We just have to do the best job we can, and hope that the front runners, all those top 10 guys that have wins, stay in there, and we're rooting for them. That's for sure.
Okay, we've got Reed, one up front, then Kenny, then David.
Reed Spencer with NASCAR Wire Service. Denny, a follow-up on Pocono. That was a track that you took to right away as a rookie. Now that you've had a chance to race on the repaved surface, do you feel like the new asphalt's taken away an edge from you there? And do you still look at that Pocono as a place where you're likely to get one of the wins you need?
It's very well possible. I mean, we had a leg up. We had 2 legs up on everyone when we went there with the old pavement. I think now we're better than average, but we're not the best anymore at that track. But it's definitely a place that we have performed well. Even after it got paved, we still performed pretty well. It is a track I look forward to. We haven't tested as Joe Gibbs Racing as a team anywhere yet. We haven't used any of our tests, so we're going to be looking forward here in the next summer months of trying to capitalize on some good tracks for us and winning at those. Pocono might be one of them. Michigan, something like that. But really for me, I think that we're going to. When they changed the track and they paved it, I mean, it changed everything. It really was like a whole new racetrack. Same with Kansas and Michigan. All these tracks, as soon as they pave them, they took one track and they just really threw it out, and you've got a whole nother surface, new setups, new way of driving style every single time. So I think that that's the challenge for us. We've got to relearn that racetrack again.
Okay, Kenny.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Denny, I apologize. I know you talked about Kyle a few minutes ago, but I don't recall whether you mentioned he talked about engine issues at Charlotte. Is that still a concern for you guys?
It's always a concern, but it's not, for me, it's not as much as it used to be. I know that, obviously it was a scary moment for me when you see, Kyle blew up. You wonder, what's the next shoe to fall. So usually when one goes, multiple go, but I think his was an isolated issue. We talked about it in our debrief on Monday, the specific problem that it was. I think it was a freak issue, and the reason why it didn't affect us and our teammates. So it doesn't really bother me, honestly. I think that I think that TRD has really came a long way with their durability, and obviously horsepower has been better this year, but we've got to continue to get better. We're not going to be able to run the same horsepower and reliability at the end of the season as what we started. We've got to continue to get better because everyone else is. So that's at our forefront right now. But I think for reliability, even though it's a concern, it's been a lot better this year than it's been in the past.
Okay, final 2 questions. Go ahead.
Denny, Sean Green with WDEL. You're running in a race that mentions Autism Speaks. You're going to be riding a car that has the autism puzzle piece on it. What does that cause mean to you?
Well, it's been a special time. A lot of it, no one in my family has been affected by autism, but I know, handfuls of people that autism affects their family, and really it's the number has gone from 1 in 100 to 1 in 88 in just a decade, and it's going to get even more here in the next decade. So it's a concern, and there is no cure for it. We see people, TV personalities, that affects their family, and it's having a child with autism is a tough thing because there's a lot of work that goes into it and a lot of money that it costs to have a child with autism. So we're trying to raise awareness for that, and it's played in the golf tournament yesterday that over the 12 years has raised over $4.5 million. So that's a huge step in the research and development side of things. So it's obviously we're just trying to do our part in Fox's last race to get that awareness out there that to everyone to be aware of autism and do whatever you can to donate.
Final question, David.
Yeah, Danny, David Newton, ESPN.com. Speaking of teams that you've got to get ahead of to get in this wild card thing, the 78 team with Kurt Busch has really been performing well the last few weeks, maybe month. Do you consider them a serious threat for that wild card team now? And do you think this says a lot about Kurt's talent overall, that he's been able to elevate that team?
I think his talent is as good as anyone's for sure, and he's really taken that team to another level. And I think the team has gotten better as well. But yeah, it's a concern, but there's nothing I could do about it. I mean, you see him out front, and I'm watching during the red flag. I see he's out front, and I know he's one of those in between guys that could hurt us. And we've been, knock on wood, very fortunate. Martin Truex coulda and shoulda won Texas. He's one of those guys that's in between that would have hurt us, and luckily things worked out and it didn't. Kurt several times won. At Richmond, there's been a lot of bullets that we've dodged here and there, but eventually those guys are going to get those wins. We know that. So we've just got to do our job and get multiple wins. If we do that, then we're going to control our own destiny. So we just can't hope to back our way into it.